ripe. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is ripe. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is ripe. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is ripe. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is right. The world is ready. I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa. What I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem.
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadhilakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavadhitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam, we welcome each and every one of you who have come here sitting with us watching Nithyananda TV, Kailasa's official TV channel. Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has taken the immense responsibility of reviving Sanatana Hindu Dharma. As a part of that revival, Swamiji has been actively working towards creating the Kailasa nation for the past 26 years. Not just through the Kailasa nation, but also through daily satsangs, various programs, books, YouTube channel, social media outlets. Swamiji has made himself available so much to modern humanity, to the modern man, and decoding the science of the Vedas and Agamas, taking the scriptures, taking the ancient texts which exist in Hinduism and decoding it to a language modern man will understand. One of those sacred cognitions is the Vakyatasatas. So the Vakyatasatas is actually a part of a four-step process which is laid down in our Shastras and which is required to internalize, to understand, fully cognize any cognition, any powerful cognition, or any thought current in Hinduism. So the first step starts with listening to the truth from the master, listening to the truth from the guru. This is where the first 25% of imbibing the truth happens. The second 25% of imbibing the truth happens in the manana, during the contemplation period. Sitting and contemplating with yourself is where the second part of this internalization happens. The third part is the actual Vakyatasatas. So exactly what is the Vakyatasatas? It is where the Kandana and Mandana of your logic happens, as Swamiji says. So what is Kandana? Kandana is where your logic breaks, your existing binary logic breaks, and Mandana is where the multi-dimensional logic starts getting formed and starts manifesting inside of you. Vakyatasatas is that process of transforming your binary logic to your into the multi-dimensional logic. The fourth and final process of this is living these principles in our life. No matter how much you talk, how much you discuss, internalize, contemplate, all of that is great. But it's not useful for you in any way unless you live what you learned in your life. So these are the 4 steps which are laid down in our Shastras, which are required for any spiritual truth, for any powerful cognition, for any thought current to get settled inside of us. So coming into today's Vakyatasatas,
What I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to KAILASA, it's okay. KAILASA can come to you. KAILASA coming to you is KAILASA. What I mean by the word
Nithyanandam, sorry for that technical glitch. Coming back to today's Vakyatasatas. Why Kailasa? Kailasa is a nation created by dispossessed Hindus from around the world who lost the right to practice Hinduism authentically in their own countries. Though the Kailasa movement is founded in the United States and spearheaded by members of the Hindu Shaivite minority community, it is created for and offers a safe haven to all the world's practicing, aspiring, or persecuted Hindus, irrespective of race, gender, sect, caste, or creed, where they can peacefully live and express their spirituality, arts, and culture free from denigration, interference, and violence. Kailasa was created with the determination to not just preserve and protect Sanatana Hindu Dharma and shared with the entire world, but also to share the story of the persecution that is yet unknown to the world. Towards this goal, Kailasa is dedicated to the preservation, restoration, and revival of an enlightened culture and civilization based on authentic Hinduism. Nithyanandam, again, sorry for the technical difficulties. The vision of Kailasa is enlightened living for all of humanity, which is rooted in the fundamental principle of Advaita or oneness, the idea that all beings can live in peace and harmony, that all human beings are equal and divine, and can reach their highest potential, irrespective of their color, nationality, religion, gender, sexual orientation, caste, creed, or race. Today's topic of the Vakyata Satas is going to be about Mahadeva's education system or Mekkole's education system. Let us now watch a small video, Swamiji sharing the differences and why the education system needs changing.
Method, right way of educating yourself. Alive, active, creative are the right education method, right way of education system from Macaulay is even thus cannot be done. How can you do this? Macaulay or Bharat. I tell you, the so-called modern day false education is a very cunning method of breaking your conscious backbone, your inner image. Instead of learning all that stupidity, chunk of junk, which is never going to be useful in your life, if you have been taught about the inner image, outer image, life image, others image, which all of you are going to learn now, today in the Inner Awakening session, many people come and tell me, Swamiji, I would have learnt about all this young age, so much of suffering would have been less. It is unfortunate. Before we build muscles, our mind did not get it. If your mind also gets built along with the muscles, it is called maturity. Otherwise, it is called aging, not growing. Aging is different, growing is different. It's not that always along with aging you will be growing. One of the greatest contribution to humanity by the Vedic rishis is amazing concept of Gul, where such an extraordinary specializations are made available in such large scale. Understand? Such amazing specialization of extraordinary skills are made available to such large number of people. The specialization and the powers were such, it does not get diluted along with aging. See, at least you can say Bhishma had a Mrityu, so his body never experienced old age. But Drona is an ordinary being. But his disciples have gone up, they are fighting, they have become kings. Even they are not able to match his capabilities. Not just Astra Shastra, even the stamina. Understand? For Astra Shastras,
Yes. Swamiji spoke about how backwards the medical education system is. The whole medical education system, in a few words, is based on supporting the weakest link of the chain and generalization. But in the Hindu education system, it is about not just about generalization, it is where you grooming this child specifically for what he is going to do in his life, what is the future purpose of his life, grooming the child to be prepared for that in their future. That was where the whole Hindu education system was. In a modern education system, you can see very clearly how everyone is boxed in the same classroom, they're taught the same things. It is only much later when they have finished the 12th standard, after they're 18, it is only then they start looking towards and start looking into specialization fields. So pretty much the whole childhood of the life of the child is wasted in learning things which he may or may not directly be using in his life. And that is one of the biggest flaws Swamiji shares here, is preparing a child destroying the 20 years of the child's life, teaching him things which he will not directly use in his life. Moving on to the topic of today's Vakya Sadas. Why is Kailasa needed for the sake of our education system? What are some flaws in the modern education system which do not exist in the Kailasa Gurukul system? So this is the question placed today for us for the Vakyatasas. So before we directly enter into the Vakyatasas today, we have a few devotees joining us from around the world who have come here today to be a part of the Vakyatasas. We have Murliaya. We also have Sunitya Ashutoshananda, both of them joining us today for the Vakyatasas. Thank you both for coming today and being a part of the Vakyatasas. So before we directly enter into the Vakyatasas, yes, Aya. Before we directly enter into the Vakyasadas, let us all just go around and take a few moments to introduce ourselves for our viewers. My name is Srinitya Mangalananda Maraj, and I'm a Balasan of Nithyananda Gurukul. Prior to coming to the Nithyananda Gurukul, I was born and raised in the United States. Ashitosha, you can go introduce yourself for all our viewers.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. My name is Srinitya Shutoshananda. I am disciple of Swamiji, and I met Swamiji in 2014 after studying mechanical engineering technology and stopping my studies halfway as I was studying business and finance in Canada, since I was born in Canada. So, and in 2014, I had a tremendous seeking for the experience of enlightenment, which was increasing in me more and more, and that led me to going to inner awakening, and after that, applying to receive initiation into the lifestyle of Karama Brahmacharya. And Swamiji gave that initiation on the Guru Purnima of 2014. And since then, I've been in the Sangha and with Swamiji, and it's a wonderful happening. So I'm very happy to be here tonight for this Vakatasalas. Looking forward for today's topic. Nityananda.
Yes, thank you so much for coming today, Srinitya Ashitoshananda. Go ahead and share about yourself for us. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. This is Murali from Chennai, India. I have been with Swamiji from 2013, and I'm into the education industry. I'm a teacher and trainer profile as of now. So I think I'm a very prospective candidate for discussing this topic. So a lot of miracles have happened ever since I've been with Swamiji and all the journey throughout. And I've been getting a taste of what Gurukul kids are doing. And also I'm seeing this side of the life, how children are flowering through the modern education way of life. So I think I can compare and make some meaningful talk here. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for this, Maharaj and Swamiji.
Thank you so much, Murali, for coming today and taking part in today's Vakyasadas. The question: why is KAILASA needed for the sake of our education system? What are some of the flaws in modern education which do not exist in the KAILASA Gurukul system? So, as always, let all of us go around and share our initial occurrence, the first few things in our head, our initial take on this question after him. And why is KAILASA education system needed? Why is KAILASA needed for this education system? I think Swamiji has pretty much answered that question for us. The education system. And what are some of the flaws in the modern education system? Well, pretty much the whole thing, according to me, is a very big flaw. And personally, I did not realize this until I came here to. It's not. I didn't realize this even after I came to Gurukul. After I came to, and then I had a chance to go back to my hometown. So actually, when I went back to my hometown, I understood. I understood how blessed I was to have studied in the Gurukul. Is my audio okay now?
Yeah, it is.
So, as I was sharing, even after I came to the Gurukul, I really didn't understand how great the education system was here. It was only in 2018 I had a chance to go back to my hometown. And it was only when I went back and I met all my friends, after a long time, and I met them and I spoke to them. It was only then I understood how blessed I was to have come and, to have been a part of the Nithyananda Gurukul. So, this is my initial take on the question. And the education system as a whole itself is very flawed. And, we pretty much do not have an education system. If you take the word definition of education, education is to prepare you for life. And in modern terms, we do not have an education system. the school system, the modern way of how the teaching is happening, that is not education, and that is not preparing a person for the rest of his life. So my initial take on this question is, fundamentally in modern day we do not even have an education institution, we do not have an education method, we do not have education at all. And it is for that sake we need the Kailasa Gurukul system. Murray, you can go ahead and share your initial take on this question.
Thank you, Maharaj. See, the general perception about the modern day education system is that it doesn't help one in life. Actually, I've seen one extreme, but back then I was very young, so to realize what exactly that impact was in that career searching youth. But when I evolved, when I came to realize that I will be in the education industry, when I realized that this is where I will be, this is where I think I'll have a niche and I'll have a flat for it, I thought there was some change here and there, some changes were happening, and something very close to, something very related to what Swamiji is doing was happening. There were some changes that are happening in the schools, even if not in colleges, because about how to. There are some schools opening these days which talk about multidisciplinary training. There is something called NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling in India today, where children are actually allowed to study at their own pace. They don't need to pass all the 5 subjects or 6 subjects in the same academic year, and they can actually choose a specialization. And the even the latest educational policy, National Education Policy 2020, that has been drafted, is aimed at giving more vocations at the school level itself, and at a much younger age. So some reforms are happening in the education industry. So it is not all that bad, is what I will say. But the thing is, it needs to intensify, it needs to refine more, and the purpose must be to actually train them. The purpose must be more intensified, is what I will say. Because initially it was bad. If not for my persisting in the education industry for very long, and I've been just called to talk on this topic, I would have still stayed with the stance that the education industry is not so good, it is not, and I would have batted for the Gurukul completely. But now I have come to a neutral, somewhat a neutral stand. Not exactly. I mean, my intensity against the so-called modern education system has actually diluted, because I see some changes happening here and there, and it is. If it is actually intensifying, if it is culminating in the right direction, I will say that it will go towards the Gurukul system. Maybe ideally the only difference being it will be a day scholar thing rather than students staying with the teachers. So that is my initial take. It is not all that bad, because there are schools, because the number of schools which are adopting this change is very, very small, very, very minuscule. But they have to be educated about what we are trying to do, why this needs to be done, and why Kailasa. That's the question. I will say Kailasa is the benchmark. It is the benchmark for the rest of the world to know what Gurukul means. What is the purpose of that? What exactly Gurukul can mean? If Gurukul is implemented, if the system of education is implemented, what it can mean for the world, what it can mean for the whole younger generation, how it will affect the younger generation, how children will evolve. It will act like a benchmark for the rest of the world to see and adopt and learn from that, and take it forward. So in that sense, Kailasa is needed. This is my first thing. Let me elaborate in a further instance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mulya. You can go ahead and share your initial take on the question.
Yes. For me, one of the main clicks regarding this is basically the modern education system awakens stupidity in you, but not only it awakens stupidity in you, it brainwashes you, making you believe that by being stupid you can make it in life. Whereas the Gurukul system awakens intelligence in you, and it awakens the getting involved with life dimension, and it makes you realize that this space of getting involved more and more with life is what you need in order to handle life. So from the understanding from here is that yes, to make it in life, you need to operate with the intelligence which awakens in you when you get more and more involved, not when you just have bookish knowledge and just cheat your way across through life. You can't cheat your way through life. And I think that is why we suffer a lot today. It's because we were taught very young age that you can cheat your way through life. And we are okay with this idea of cheating our way through life. So naturally, we are not living a life which is fulfilling and which is like of the highest quality. So that would be my initial statement and take regarding this question.
Thank you so much, Ashoka. So from here, the way I'm seeing it is that there are two sides to the education system. One is the way education comes to computer science and data entry, the syllabus is more than 10 years outdated. The book itself is released in 2010, at the time which we had Windows 7. And but if you take the syllabus itself, it whatever subject they want just by doing Google searches, just by reading up online, just by
See,
I think I shared this in a yes,
yeah,
please go ahead.
are you done?
I just wanted to add one more point here. So this is not something which we are talking in philosophical level. You can just Google up online and you can see the number of people, number of kids out there who have done incredible things not because of the school, but because of the passion and because of the interest, just by Google conferencing, just by doing Google search and searching up on YouTube online, creating things. There's this 13-year-old kid who has created an app which is now one of the top 20 apps in the Android Play Store. So there are so many things which kids are manifesting, kids are able to do just because of their passion and their ability to grasp. So as Ashutosh has shared, the modern education system is making people only more and more stupid. And when you remove a child from the modern education system, when you give him access to all the knowledge, allowing him to it, that's when they manifest beautiful things. That is when they manifest greatness. And we are seeing that in modern society. We are actually seeing that at the moment. The problem is the education institution which are placed by our government, which are placed by society, is no way contributing towards that change. We are no way to teach a syllabus which is more outdated. That education is not being useful towards them, towards their towards what to accomplish in life. Another thing I had actually found out when I had gone and visited my home was many people didn't know what they wanted to do after graduating high school. Before all, they had chosen to study med and students. But why they had chosen to become med students? The only other better reason they could give me was just for the money, just for it, not for anything else. And even medicine is such a huge field. Even medicine, what field are they going to specialize in? They still have no idea and they still have no clue. So this is the biggest dilemma problems with the modern education system. There's so much put and gets, until in the end of the day, the child does not know what he wants to do in his life, does not have an idea of what he wants to go and what he wants to become. I was extremely shocked to see how all of my old friends, they have chosen to study school, to become doctors. And it's not becoming that they all are going to the same college as well. So it was, kind of shocking for me to see how the generalization doesn't just start in the primary schools and continues through middle school or high school. Even at the college level, they continue to be in the generalization where they decide not to expand the boundaries, not to see what more is possible by them. But there's so much of insecurity has put into them, they want to play safe and finally in the end, destroy life. So these are some of the things which I have personally seen and personally have, which have happened in my life as well regarding the modern education system. So be it what about whether the way being taught or what is being taught, finally in the end, children are not having a purpose of what they want to do in their life. The education system, and what is an education system if they are not touched and they are not taught what they should be doing in their life. They not having a purpose, not able to find a purpose of what they want to do in their life. If that fundamental question is not being solved, then we really need to seriously look into the way society is functioning to solve a problem where people don't know what they want to do with life. Yes, Aya, please go ahead. You wanted to share something.
Yes, Maharaj. I actually relented my intensity of my stance against the modern education system because I thought it was changing. And I acknowledge all your points actually. See, the reason for that is, why was this created? What was the original intent and purpose for which the so-called modern education system was created? It was created by some selfish Western interested group, which will help their business interest and their or commercial interest and all that. So it was created with that intent. That is the reason why it has so many flaws. And we are slowly recognizing the need for this to get better, and that is why we are trying to change it at all. But what was the Gurukul system intended for? Gurukul system is intended for enlightenment. Means we want everybody to reach the same higher state of consciousness. So that is a higher purpose, and there is no selfish motive here. The guru is supposedly actually as a stepping stone towards that. So with that intent, and I remember one Swamiji's statement: choices is not freedom. Modern education system, as we call it, is all about choices. We have a lot of career choices within inverted commas. So, but Gurukul system is not. Is the choice is at a much. You have freedom in its true royal sense, because the child is allowed to flower in its own way in all possible dimensions, be it place, be it pace, be it kind, level, everything. The whole thing is left. The child is left to bloom in his own way, in its entirety. But here you have different streams which they have labeled. So that is the difference. That is the essential difference between Gurukul system and the so-called modern education system. And this another is actually okay, fine. They do have the students have the choice of clearing one exam, one subject at a time, during one academic at a time. But Gurukul is not even that. They don't even give you any choice of subjects. They allow you to bloom in your own way, and that is a very wonderful thing. And that is that is why children actually bloom. They are able to showcase so many talents. Talent itself is something that is innate, and that innate talent is best brought out in an ambience which is not restricted in any way whatsoever, and that can happen only in the Gurukul. So that is why I will bat for Gurukul still. If things stand as of now, as on date, I will bat for Gurukul. I did say that things are changing, but it is not it is still not as good as Gurukul yet. See, the idea of day we have this idea of Gurukul because we learn not just from what the teacher tells in the class, because that way we are only trying to get some knowledge chunk which we are going to reproduce in an exam, or some analysis based on the chunk that he tells us during the class. But a Gurukul is essentially a forum where a child learns from the Guru, even at the being level, what a Guru does, how a Guru behaves in any situation, how he handles life, how he lives his life. The child learns from the Guru even by observing him, not just listening to what he says for an exam, what he says in connection with passing an exam. He learns the whole life itself. So in that sense, actually, only Kailasa, an ecosystem like Kailasa, can help the consciousness. The Kailasa can help the younger generation get to know. This can never happen in a modern education system. The multidisciplinary approach towards learning, all that is fine, as far as you look at the idea of learning as just learning some academic subjects. But how do you learn life itself? It's a different dimension altogether. That can happen only in a Gurukul. So I will still bat for the Gurukul way of life. Initially what I was saying was things are not as regimented as it was left by the people who created this vested interest people who created it initially. Things are getting better, but even today, which is better, Gurukul is still far better, I will say. There's no doubt about that. And yes, and one more thing which I will acknowledge what Maharaj said was we still look at everything what ultimately will help us monetarily. We don't look at whether this will really satisfy us. So, and I think I was like this. When I say I am, as of now, I'm in the education industry, as I'm a teacher and a trainer by profile. I'm inherently implying the same thing, because I did not know that this was my passion and this was where I really belong and this really is satisfying. Because initially, before I came to Swamiji, as I said, I was very unconscious and I did not know where I was going. And this is one thing, this is one dimension of myself. Actually, this question helps me unfold my past also. I did not know that actually being a teacher is really satisfying. Had I known that and come to Swamiji before, maybe things would have been different. My path of life would have been different. Because I did not know that and I had to struggle with a lot of things otherwise. So uh, passing an exam is not ultimate. We have to know something. We have to make our living. That is what is ultimate. And surviving and feeling satisfied, feeling complete, and getting enlightened is the ultimate. And that will happen only in a ambience of Gurukul, in a Kailasa ambience, and that can never happen the way the modern education system stands. Because everything is money oriented, everything is very commercialized, and any career choice. And I am able to see from even my own students today that they opt for some field because their friends told them so, or their parents told them so, or they see a lot of somebody making a lot of money in their circle, maybe their seniors or their relations. They see that they don't actually, hardly any student is able to tell me that this is my passion, this is where I feel, I think I will get ultimate satisfaction. I don't know. In any number of parent-teacher meeting I attended, no parent or student seems to have told me that this is where I see my child showing so much interest, so I want to be there. In all my experience, that's, I think I'm able to recall only one parent who said, I'm not putting him here because I want him to pass any exam or something like that. I know he's not a very bright child, but I just want him to get exposed to deeper dimensions of education. That is why I'm putting him here. Let him get any mark. I'm not going to crush him. Just one parent in all my years of in this field. So only one parent I remember telling me like that. But otherwise, most of the time talk about only money or some of their friends or some of their relatives or somebody being in some field and they are doing great in life. Only that is what seems to motivate them. So and that kind of motivation is not what you get from Gurukul. You are just allowed to flower in your own way, and that is the ultimate freedom. So that ambience can happen only through Kailasa, and thanks to Swamiji for establishing Kailasa and making people realize what that is. So that's what I will say from my experience. Thank you.
Yes.
And yeah, actually, there are some things I would like to. Please go ahead, Ashutosh Ananda. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can add.
What I was,
Yes, Maharaj.
what I wanted to tell was, I think it's more than just. Aya had initially shared that why the modern education system was created, what the purpose was for, and pretty much we all know the history and the story of how when the British came and they colonized and they wanted clerks and people to manage their big industries, and for that sake it was the education system was created for people to just become clerks. So but this is almost 100 years ago, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong, where British had come and invaded, and it's all close to almost 100 years since we have got independence from the British. So why isn't that education system still changed? Why is not just India but the whole world still stuck in the same education mental setup which British had laid down almost 100 years back? I think it's more or less a conspiracy which is being done against society, which is being done against humanity for more than 100 years. After so many people recognizing the flaws and recognizing the problems with the modern education system, it is still not changed. See, we are not the first people to be speaking about the flaws in a modern education system. Even if you go to YouTube and see a few TED Talks, there are more than 5-6 people who have addressed the issues with modern education system, not just in terms of the classroom, but in the history. They bring the roots of the problem back to Macaulay themselves. So all this knowledge, everything is so publicly available and it is so known. These videos and all on YouTube, which have been made with TED Talks, they have easily crossed 1 million views. So many people are educated about how destroyed our education system is. But why is it that not a single person has taken initiative, not a single way in that towards the direction it is being showing of changing the whole education system from the foundation, from the fundamentals. On top of the the garbage, how much ever you can put, how much of your perfume you want, but still fundamentally you're not removing the garbage which is still sitting there. So unless that garbage is removed, then we have serious problems, and it is only going to lead to more and more infection. And we are fooling ourselves by saying that they're just now only starting to offer vocational subjects. Now only they're giving the the liberty to write subjects, not all the 5 subjects together, but 2-3 subjects at a time. even the IGCSE syllabus, they go a step further. They say that, you don't need to wait until you're 16 or 17 to write it. They write exams as soon as, you feel qualified. So all this more or less like spraying perfume on top of the garbage. But we have a serious garbage problem which has been there for more than years now. And even after getting the lift of our house, we are not cleaning it out. And this is a serious issue and something which should have been ringing a lot of bells. Like warming is ringing bells. This is a global warming issue. It's the future education. This is the future of humanity. They decide future direction humanity is going to go to. They're going to define the direction we are going to be headed towards. It is very important to groom them, to keep them the best possible, to give them the best, give them the best food, deserve the best of everything. Because they are our future. The education system, the youth, children, they are future. And we are too much destroying ourselves, destroying humanity by giving them the best education, preparing them for life. And we have a problem on their head. We are destroying ourselves as a whole, as a human beings, and this as big as a problem as global warming. And if we are able to revive the KAILASA system and spread not only just in KAILASA but in the micronations as well, starting Gurukul systems, each micro not the full-fledged Gurukul, but at least day scholar classes or at least weekend classes, and somewhere slowly class education is only when this is only like how for combat, to air pollution or how people plant trees and all sorts of stuff. The only way we can plant trees is by starting classes and starting weekend Gurukuls and getting more and more kids involved in this enlightenment. So this is, I feel the importance which is given to global warming, the same importance has to be given to the education system. And fundamentally, right now, they needs to be changed. Otherwise, like how for past 100 years, it is going to be, it is continuing for 100 years until we really change the fundamentals of our education system.
Yes. From my side, what I see and what I shared initially with it's this dimension of getting involved. One thing Swamiji shared about the Gurukul, which when I heard, it really clicked and it was amazing. It was, how do students in Gurukul pass their exam? The students in Gurukul are initiated into thought currents and they live the life in the Gurukul, and by intensifying their seeking, they start to experience these thought currents in their life. And when they come for examination in front of the acharyas, which are evaluating, they're not asked a question or like a question and answer kind of a thing. They're asked to expand on a certain topic. And whatever the child has grasped through the maturity of his seeking on these topics, he shares that. And when the acharyas feel that the child has grasped a certain knowledge very nicely, then he is considered as successful. And so for me, when I heard that, that was amazing, because see, when you share knowledge which you have grasped, it's with you forever, because it's your life. You don't need to prepare to go speak. You don't need to do anything, because it's your very life. When you are expressing your life, then there's no effort required. There's no studying required. There is no preparation required, because you're living it. You're just sharing what you're living. And so that's what I meant by getting involved with life. In the Macaulay's education system, you are taught, okay, exam is coming, you study this, and then you answer the questions and you pass. But the problem that I see in this is that it's just a beautiful way of destroying your time, because in the time that you spend your time studying something and regurgitating for the sake of answering the question in the way that Others want the answer to be given. You're not discovering who you are. You're not engaging with life and discovering yourself. You're just wasting your time learning something for somebody else and hoping that you'll be able to regurgitate that at the right time and have the approval of that person, which is a completely stupidity as far as I'm concerned. If the Mangala Maharaj was mentioning about the Google Confidence, right? If the child starts to engage with life in various ways, if he gets involved, instead of using his time to just learn something and regurgitate it at the exam time, if he spends his life and learns and touches different things which he has interest about, he will discover who he is. He will discover what he has, and he will get in, and he will be able to do something with that because he will find himself. And then that's what is required, because in order to live life in a fulfilled way, you need to know who you are and what you're doing and all that. You need to figure out who you are. So in that way, I can clearly see that the Macaulay education system, it destroys your consciousness literally, because there is no seeking. In the Gurukul, you are initiated into thought currents, and by the lifestyle that you live in the Gurukul, you are made to experience these thought currents into your experience, and then that becomes the expression of your life. But in the Macaulay's education system, you just learn bookish knowledge and give it back when it's required. And 95% of the knowledge which you learned, you never use in your life afterwards, once you pass these exams. So it's really about getting involved with life. Even from my experience, I personally have learned video editing, music and audio editing, music making. I've learned English, and I've learned a bunch of stuff only by online, by Google Confidence. So we are at a time, like, especially today with the information available, it's easy for us to access information. And the only thing is that the child needs to be supported to get involved and test things out and learn by himself. And in the process, he will figure out who he is, what he wants. And from there onwards, he can start to engage with life. Unless you figure out who you are and what you want, your life is not your life. I mean, you're living something, but you're not living life. So that's my take on this. Gurukul, the Nithyananda Gurukul and the Kailasa Gurukul, it awakens your seeking. It awakens your powerfulness of engaging with life, and when you do that, you discover your potential, and the possibilities open in front of you. Even one last thing I wanted to add regarding this: why is everybody's identifying the education system flaws and they're not doing anything towards it? They cannot do anything towards it because they're not powerful. Identifying a problem is not enough. You need to be able to see the possibility of change. If you don't see the possibility of change, you will, even if you identify the problem, you will be paralyzed and you will not be able to do anything. So to be in the space of possibility, you need to have powerful cognitions. You need to have higher understandings about life. When you have these higher understandings, the space of possibility will be open in front of you, and then you will be able to actually transfer that knowledge into something like Swamiji is building, Kailasa. But most of us, because we have not broken the pattern that the education system has created in us, even if we identify problems, it will not be like a taking responsibility space. It will just be like kind of a blaming, or just but we can't, like, you will be paralyzed and you will not see how you can change it because you're not in the space of possibility. So I see that the Gurukul education system is an education system which awakens the space of powerfulness and possibility within you. And only when you have that space, you can do anything in your life. Otherwise, you're just living like a programmed robot kind of a thing. So that's why, in my opinion, the Kailasa Nithyananda Gurukul is of utmost importance for the future.
Alright. Is Bharat there?
Yes, Murli, please go ahead. Please go ahead and chat. Please go ahead.
See, why is the modern education system still there in spite of so many people recognizing its flaws? Good question that. See, I'll say that it is still there because the actual person who is at the helm of affairs doesn't recognize the urgency to change that. See, I don't know how I personally will be or who anybody else. I'm not able to name any one person who will actually, if he sits as the education minister from the elected government, comes to the helm of affairs, he will change things and revive the Gurukul system. See, the person sitting there in the as the education minister or the HRD minister must actually recognize the need to change this, and only that I think will cause a ripple effect of change. Otherwise, we have the people who are talking about the need to change are those, I will say, are who are able to see the effect of the negative extreme, the negative extreme effect of what the present education system is doing to the people. See, this NEET exam in the Tamil Nadu, if you have been following the news, you will understand there have been many suicides. NEET actually was meant as a corruption curbing measure, as well as bringing out the best of really eligible people to be doctors. But again, the so-called the selfish vested interested people were trying to oppose it, and the people who are not able to pass the exam for whatever reason, because they did not have the access to the proper training, or they did not know how to face, they did not know how to face the exam, and they because of that they had to the students committed suicide, and this the vested interested people actually were capitalizing on. See, this exam is leading people to suicide. So unless the person at the top realizes the need for change, nothing will actually change. See, the people who are okay with adapting to any learning method, learning anything at all, will actually study, pass the exam, get the degree, get the certificate. But if in some cases, that some souls who actually feel so depressed, which have gone to the negative extreme, it is they who go to the extent of committing suicide, and it is they, and that is not coming out as news. And the person who is sitting at the top, the HRD minister or the education minister, that one person must actually personally feel the need to change this and revive the system, the need for this to change. And that, I think, has started happening. That's what I started at the beginning of the Sadhas today, and that is why this change. And I don't think this can be revived in one go, because even today, many parents who feel that the education system must change, still, when it is actually implemented, like when if the whole Kailasa is given in front of them as in its entire glory, as far from the education system, I mean, it is given in front of them, I don't know whether they will accept it, whether they will have the maturity or the mindset to accept it, because they will want the learning to be certified and quantified. My child has scored this grade. My child is actually a specialist. He is a science group student. He is a biology student. He has scored this marks. He scored this grade. They want that. See, actually, initially everything was marked, means very precise. But now, then it slowly got into diluted into grade. Grade is just a range. Your mark is between some range. So to that extent, that Bengal education system has come down. We have come down to let us not rate students like that. But it has to develop further. So if you go to parents and if you ask them, well, whether they will want that Gurukul system. See, they let them forget the name Gurukul system. What it means? It means let the children flower in their own way. We don't want to pressurize them to go to any field, learn any particular subject, write any particular exam. Will any parents be ready for that? Even parents who say that their education system is flawed, when they are told the ideal Gurukul, what ideally Gurukul means, without naming the word Gurukul, and said, okay, I am going to let your child flower in his own way. I'm going to give Google before him. I'm going to give him all the encyclopedias, dictionaries, and all the wonderful books before him. Let him go and study any book he wants. Let him go and explore anything. I'm going to also give all the educational toys in the world. I'm going to set up a whole infrastructure school like that. So I'm going to let your child play in this place. Let it be toys, let it be books, let it be computer games, let it be anything. I'm going to let your child play in his own way. Let him choose whatever he wants. So right from morning 9:30 to till 4:30 in the evening, this is a play time for him. This is my school. If you're going to market such a school, I don't know how many parents will come and say okay to that, even though they will say that the modern education system is flawed. So they first of all understand that many people have to come to terms that uh, uh, education system is flawed, yes, but the culmination point is, don't expect education to be quantified or certified. Quantified in terms of grade and certified in terms of a paper in front of you which tells you that your child knows these things to be eligible for some career. Let him see, let him learn what he wants, but he can be living his passion. So will we be allowed to do that? Will he be allowed to? I don't know how many parents will say yes to this. So even so, the mindset of the common man, whoever says that this thing needs to be changed, has to understand this. So the Gurukul system means this. Even though the child may not actually stay with the Gurukul means you don't go to stay with the teacher. Ultimately, it means this: letting the child flower in his own way. Will you allow to do this? Will you make this happen? Will you allow this to happen? So that even the people need to be educated on this, and I think the viewers who see this now should actually start a think tank on this and vote for it. And I think if this happens, this will pressurize the government, whichever party comes to power, will think of creating maybe a new education policy all the more, or taking the present education policy to the next level. Like the present education policy actually offers a wide range of vocations as compared to what it was previously at a much lower grade. So I think this is the next level of to think. Like will we allow grades to happen? Let us not. I mean, the grading system, whether the child is ready to go to the next level. Let us not think about levels. Let us just think about how much one knows in how much time maybe, and ultimately even that time frame within which they should know some amount of time. See, the NOA system is one more dilution. And I say that we started with marking the student, then we came to grade, then we came to NOAS. NOAS is actually a way by which students can pass one subject at a time within a larger time frame. Now let us dilute that, even the time frame factor. Let us say that okay, let the child learn at his own convenience. So maybe it will cost more money initially. Let that cost money, and ultimately it is going to enrich that individual's life, because he or she is going to live his or her passion, and he is going to feel fulfilled that there was no pressure on him and there is no compulsion on him in be it monetary or societal or whatever it is. So if we build an economy based on this passion and the thing, and not any so-called learning base, that is when we feel I think we'll go better towards it. Because at once upon a time, Swami once said, maybe in just one line, in some other context, I don't know now, the same person used to perform puja in the temple and also give some herbs as medicine. So that is what this Hindu education system all about. Because Brahmana is all about being living a lifestyle based on what you are educated. So this as a Brahmana, as a person who is educated in the Vedas, the Shastras, he simply knows what needs to be done in the temple and also what medicine needs to be given for some illness, sickness. So it's all about knowledge. So he's the knowledge tank of the society. So that is what is Brahmana about. So it all about comes back to establishing the Varna system in a way. Just I'm thinking aloud now when I'm discussing this topic. So it's like that. So if you are able to give up this idea of quantifying in terms of grades and certifying, I think we are there. We can establish that. Uh,
I feel that
Actually, yeah. So you go. Please go
was I
ahead,
heard clearly?
Ashutosha.
Was I heard clearly? I don't know.
yes, no. What I
Yes, sir.
wanted
Yeah,
to
you were
add is
heard. You were heard.
what I wanted to add is actually to perform a work, you don't need years of education system. You need few weeks, maybe few months of training. Anyways, when after you study, you go to a company, you'll get trained, and you maybe have 2-3 weeks of training, and then you start the work. So I feel that training is the only thing which is required, which was there in the Varna Ashrama Dharma. The father was training the child, and the child learned and started to do. Instead of spending 15 years in studying, you can spend a year under training, and you can start doing the work. You don't need to spend 15 years to have general knowledge which you will not use, and just be there through depression, just reading books and vomiting answers. And no, you get trained and you do the work. Okay, maybe the training, if you don't have any, if the foundations are very little, maybe training will be a little bit more than what we have now of like 2-3 weeks or a month of training. But you get trained for 6 months or for a year, and then you start.
Many business units are so selfish and commercial oriented that they don't train also. They expect
because there's too much greed going on. That at least that's what I see. The greed of controlling this education system. I feel that it is managed by the greed of controlling. In order to control, you have to generalize, because you cannot control and be customized. That's uncontrollable. It's too much to handle. So they dull everything down to something they can control, so they can just have power over it. It's just I feel the education system is an expression of the greed of man, which has gone to the point where it becomes like it doesn't make sense anymore, because people commit suicide because of it, right? It's so anti-life that people feel that life is not worth being lived if I have to go through this. So I feel it's the extreme of the greed of man, of just wanting power and control, which I believe Macaulay was the inner space in which Macaulay was operating. And but that's not the point. The point is, it's not about having this one thing which controls the entire planet Earth. The point is, every like back then Hinduism, each village was self-sustainable. Each village was able to handle themselves, everything, A to Z. They didn't need to go to the next village. They would go only for visiting temples, and pilgrimage was pretty much the only, kshetras was the only way, mainly why they were traveling. But they were self-sustainable within themselves. So I feel that, and I also feel that the people on top, unless they get tremendously enriched, but they won't change. We cannot expect the people on top to change. That's not going to happen, as far as I feel. Because once you've spent so much time and energy and money into making something, you're not willing to drop everything back and start to square one. Very few are willing to do that. Most humans will not do that. So I feel this is what Swamiji is doing is the way you create gurukuls and start to enrich parents and hold them and support them and start to create children which are going to impact the environment around them. And the people will see these children radiating, and they'll be like, oh my God, I want my child to be like that. And like that is going to happen.
Yes. See, that relevant term here that I've seen used is the political will. that we don't have that today. Either you don't have that, or you are so corrupt that you are not interested in that. That's how things are today. And even parents actually need to realize that education should not be quantified and graded and certified. As long as they are ready for life, as long as that's what I said. Again, it comes back to my inner awakening thing. I actually saw a whole world of possibility before me. I was very unconscious, and a huge new world opened out before in a program, I should say. So it's a very big eye opener to see what things can do, how things can be outside the human logic. So that can happen only in a Gurukul. That can happen only in a Kailasa ambience. So thank you. Too small a word for what Swamiji is doing in the name of reviving it. So it's such a great endeavor, and we should all support him for that. That's what I will say.
There's only one thing which I would like to add up as of now. So I had spoken about the Google conference system pretty much, and the parents might be, they will not accept and they will not be open towards the the Google conference system. So it is not just about having the whole archives, giving them most possibilities to play from 9:30 to 4:30, but it's a way of learning the same subjects which we are learning even now in our which are still given in our textbooks. The is like that. So computer science, which is have the PowerPoint presentation, have a Microsoft Word, Microsoft and a few more syllabus. So either you can sit and stick with the textbook and learn 3 with Microsoft, or you can go on and 2019 or 2020 version of Microsoft. So it is only with Google Conference you'll be able to know what's happening in the world right now. When a kid is what's happening right now, they'll be able to prepare themselves and they will be put in the mindset to take on from where we are standing right now, rather than learning something which is outdated more than 20 years ago. So more or less, this is system is needed, not just their own syllabus, but for the way the syllabus need to be taught. And it is not just it's not just about the way it's taught, but about what we taught as well. Either they're learning or they're catching up with what's happening right now and preparing themselves to face the society once they graduate. So the Google system is that, and it's very much possible. And we in the we've implemented this Google conference system where we take the existing topics, existing syllabus, which is already mandated by the education boards, and instead of learning what is there in the books, but also going online, seeing what is happening in the world right now in the field. So the Google conference system is something which we can very much implement in place system, and that is like taking one step towards reviving the Kailasa Gurukul system as a whole. So
actually,
this is pretty much where
there is a new trend sort of thinking coming up. I've seen. I don't remember the exact terms. One is called it's called Maharaj. Are you there? Maharaj, are you there? Maharaj?
Yes, yeah, please go ahead.
See, there are
three. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
There are actually 3 types of people in the education industry. One is called an instructor, one is called a counselor, and one is called a facilitator. So this is what the new trend I've seen. I don't know how. I mean, new trend is new to me at least. So we now the trend has come from has gone away from instructor to facilitator. Slowly things are turning like that. That's what I said. That's what I wanted to say. So wherein we actually allow the students to nurture in their own way, get nurtured in their own way. We just in at least some schools, as I said, the trend is catching up, where teachers are there. It's just they are there only to help the children explore, and everything is multidisciplinary, and the children are actually made to do more and more projects, more and more research work, and more presentation kind of stuff. This is catching on, and I think I should join such a place to support this thought current, because it's real fun. It is real fun to see
Yes,
how children actually discover in their own way, and discover their own formula, their own way of memorizing or presenting stuff. The way they create mnemonics or the memory techniques to present something, it is real fun. I actually encourage students to do this, and some parents actually in my parent teacher meeting, I'm seeing that they are really in favor of this, and they should see the culmination of this. And I hope that
Yes,
the thought currents will multiply, and people begin to accept Kailasa more and more. That's what I hope and pray for. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming today and being a part of the Vakya Siddhas as well. We've come to the end of today's Vakya Siddhas. Thank you so much, Ashutosh Ananda. Thank both of you for coming today, being a part of the Vakya Siddhas. It's time now to conclude, to welcome, prepare ourselves to welcome Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang. So, fundamentally, coming toward the conclusion of today's Vakya Siddhas, there are so many reasons given why the education system needs to be brought back to life, the Kailasa education system. It is only a matter of how fast are we going to start moving towards that direction. And for more information regarding the Kailasa Gurukul system, you can visit kailasa.org for more information about the Kailasa Gurukul system. With this, let's prepare ourselves and enter into the meditation. Please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes and bring your awareness into your Ananda Gandha. Visualize Swamiji sitting there in your Ananda Gandha as Paramashiva with 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, allowing the mantra to reverberate throughout your entire body, start chanting the Mahavakya Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham. What I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you.
Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you
is KAILASA. What I mean by the word KAILASA, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to KAILASA, it's okay. KAILASA can come to you. KAILASA coming to you is KAILASA.